Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Cool. The Sports Bros Podcast is a sports podcast that's by the fans, for the fans, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Eddy Cool, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. That's right, we're all waving. Some of us are freezing, shoveling the driveways, having fun doing all that good stuff. B-Live's not shoveling the driveway. I shoveled the driveway this morning. I got a funny story about my way, my ride home to work tonight. But before I go any further, I'd like to introduce two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, Scottie, you got a mask on?
Omicron's out there. You got to be careful. I don't want to get you guys sick. So I got my mask on.
You know what? Let me grab my grab a mask or something. Where's my? Because I got the Omicron variant is not what I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the Prescott variant.
Oh wow!
You might want to cover your ears.
Oh boy! With that being said, introducing first the almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Hey, y'all know us by now. You know what we're going to talk about, because this. Let me do this the way I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for the past 24 hours, how I was going to come with this intro. $160 million with $127 million guaranteed and $75 million this year. That's gonna be my lead off. We'll get into that. Go ahead. That other guy is not in a good mood. I can tell you that right now. Let's go ahead. Oh boy, I've been waiting on this. Where is my popcorn? Go ahead and introduce him.
Oh boy, here we go. Speaking of the other guy, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. None other than the one, the only DC4L, whatever the hell I just said. Dallas Cowboys for life. The one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
Let's get it started.
Hey.
Let's get it started in here, because it is hockey season, baby. It is hockey season. I am ready to start talking Penguins hockey whenever you guys are. I am all fired up for the NHL season. It's finally here.
Oh, wow. Go Kane, Storm Surge.
No problem with that whatsoever. I'm wearing my Panthers gear, but man, 5-12 is horrible. But we didn't make the playoffs. Let's talk about a team that made the playoffs and has some high and lofty expectations. But Eddy, cool. Let's just get into it. You know what we're here for.
Somebody did say something about the team was going undefeated and win the Super Bowl. Anyways, it is Super Wild Card Weekend. That's right. You got football on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night as well, to a Monday night football game. I can't recall Monday night football playoff game. When's the last time that happened? I don't even know.
Never.
Exactly, never. So let's talk about the game of interest, the one that had the most interest in it. Scottie D, your Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. In the words of the almighty B Live, what happened?
Fill me in. I took a nap Sunday, and I haven't seen the game yet. I haven't seen the highlights. I have a DVR.
Live.
So I'm still waiting on it.
The live.
So the big news today, the big thing that everybody's talking about, is the last play of the game, where Prescott runs the ball up the middle and slides down, and the umpire is a little late trying to get between. He bumps in the deck. That play is the least of my worries when it came to this game. That play had such little impact. The only thing the umpire really did there was he prevented the Dallas Cowboys from having an opportunity to commit a 15th penalty. That's all he did. He just stopped them from giving one more play to commit a penalty, because they committed 14 penalties. Oof. That's a lot. Now, before I tell you all the reasons they lost, let me just review with you how we got just prior to that point. The Cowboys got dominated on Sunday. They looked terrible defensively. They looked out of sync offensively. At halftime, they had 7 points. This is supposed to be this great offense. They had 7 points on the board. Defense supposed to be much improved, and they gave up points the first 4 times the 49ers touched the ball. They didn't even see the punter till the second half. But yet, with having said all that, for some reason, with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the game, the Cowboys found themselves in the unique situation of having the ball with a chance to win the ball game. 2 minutes, 42 seconds, deep in their own territory, 3 timeouts. It was remarkable that they were even there because Leighton Vander Esch made a big-time tackle on Deebo Samuel, forcing the 49ers to punt. And it looked like that could end up being one of the big stories of the game. Afterthought at this point. Because here comes our $75 million this year quarterback onto the field. And as people were texting me all day, I said, this is our chance. This is his chance to shine. And I got to be honest, I didn't think he was going to do it. The second play, actually, 38 yards to Dalton Schultz. We're down to midfield with 2.5 minutes to go. And I'm now saying to my father who's sitting with me, I hope the Cowboys, if they score a touchdown, don't do it too soon and leave time on the clock. Little did I know, they weren't going to get any more yards after that because Dak Prescott gets sacked on the next play. And then, true to Mike McCarthy's reputation of not being able to manage time, rather than letting the clock go down to the 2-minute warning, because you're at midfield with 3 timeouts, they rush a play on second down and incompletion to CeeDee Lamb, who was not even involved in the offense on Sunday whatsoever. So now you come back from the 2-minute warning, 3rd and 11, rather than having regroup. Let's work out our best play. Let's get reset. Nah, let's just rush one with a second left, try to beat the 2-minute warning for God knows what reason. Don't even know why you would try to do that whenever you want to try to milk the clock down and give it back to the 49ers with nothing. But that happens. Then Dak breaks the pocket and throws some kind of stupid loop-de-loop pass over to Ezekiel Elliott for an incompletion. But don't worry, it gets worse. There was a holding penalty, which is to be expected. Declined, 4th and 11, and then the next play, Dak throws this long ball down to Cedric Wilson just out of his reach. And then somehow the ball still ends up back in the Cowboys' hands because Jimmy G goofs up a 4th and inches quarterback keeper. So the Cowboys get yet another chance, and then that leads to the sliding play that ended the game. I'm really not worried about that play so much, because the official was doing his best to try to get down there. Dak didn't have the good sense to hand it to him. 3 people had to be involved in letting that play even get onto the field. Kellen Moore, head coach Mike McCarthy, and Dak. Between the 3 of them, not any of them thought 14 seconds, it might be a bad idea to run up the middle. Nah. We're going to go ahead and do that. But when you have 14 penalties, you don't deserve to win a game. Pre-snap penalties. They had, in the second half, when they have a chance now to come out and they get the ball coming out at halftime, you know what they do on their first series? They get to a 3rd and 4th situation and go false start consecutively. False start. If I would have told you a pro team's going to do that in playoffs, you'd have probably laughed, because you know what? It's laughable that happened. They had 2 penalties on the night of defensive holding on run plays. You may not see that. You might go an entire season and have a defensive holding on a run. They had 2 of them. At one point, they get to midfield, and the Cowboys settle for the punt. But wait, we fake it and get it. And what do in the next play? They leave the punter on the field. They don't even bring the quarterback out. They leave the punter on the field thinking, oh, we're going to confuse San Francisco. They're going to burn one of their timeouts. But San Francisco said, we dare you. Go ahead and run a play. So now we end up getting a delay game. Seriously? Oh, my goodness.
So they tried to do who pulled that mess? What game was that? That happened
against Dallas with Arizona on a field goal attempt.
That's what. Yep. I was like, was it Stefanski?
Yeah.
Stefanski was like, oh, let's run the field goal. Yep. No, we don't know what we're doing. Timeout. That was a very costly.
So we tried some version of that.
They tried it.
Yeah. We decided we're just going to leave our punter on the field and not the rest of the offense, and maybe they'll get spooked and call a timeout. And it didn't quite work out that way. Instead, the same official who had his hands on the ball at the end of the game is in there blocking the Cowboys from snapping the ball because you have to allow for a defensive substitution. So that one kind of blew up in the Cowboys' face. You had your most explosive offensive player Tony Pollard had 4 touches, 4. And the guy with the torn up knee, who now says he had a torn PCL, he's out there picking up 2 yards a carry, as he has done for most of the season. If Zeke can't run, Zeke shouldn't be on the field. You need a running back, someone that's going to be more than just blitz pickups, a running back, and he couldn't run.
Where was Tony Pollard? Was he still injured?
He's in the game. He returned a kick. Actually, he had a pretty nice kick return out to the 40-yard line, which got called back by a holding penalty early in the game. The defense
pow. That's what it sounds
absolutely.
like.
Defense got completely bullied the whole first half. They did a little bit better in the second half. They only allowed 7 points in the second half. You know how those 7 points got scored? Because Dak Prescott threw an interception in his own territory and set up a Deebo Samuel run of 20 yards into the end zone. This list that I just made up, can you win a football game?
Wait a minute, Scottie D. Hold on. Let me hold that list up again.
It's like all this stuff right here. It's this whole middle of I mean, guys, after Jerry Jones, I even said I'm preparing myself for the "we're disappointed" speech, and sure enough, that's what Jerry Jones gave us. We're disappointed, and then Dak does the "I got to do better, I got to play better." Man, I don't want to hear any more of that. You've been saying that for 5 years now. You won one. You have one playoff game win out of 4 attempts now, Dak Prescott. Yet you have the biggest contract in the NFL. Sometimes you're going to have errors in the head coaching and in the offensive play calling, and you need a good stellar quarterback to help carry you to wins. And this guy doesn't do it. And now everybody is saying what I've been saying, what my buddy Trey Duke has been saying for years, and that this guy is not an elite quarterback. Because if you can't win a home playoff game, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
like you said, if you can't win a home playoff game, man, that's not good for business. And then on top of that, the Cowboys, you said 14 penalties, right, Scottie D?
14 penalties.
Yeah,
7 pre-snap. So you can't even blame referees on judgment calls.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, when they were showing the penalties on the replay, I didn't have a problem with any of them. They were legit penalty calls. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, that's a crap holding call." No, we had situations where we were actually tackling guys and getting flags thrown at our players. So this was nowhere near a blame official game. No way.
Yeah, you've had 18 weeks to get together, and here we are. Be live. Cowboys, 49ers. I know you got you got something brewing to say.
Let's start off as you already as I start the show off featuring Dak Prescott's contract. I do that for a reason. Because you are held to a higher standard. And bruh, I have tried. I've been going back toe to toe with Scottie D all year long that Dak Prescott deserves his money. The Cowboys are competitive year after year, and Dak Prescott is the reason for that. I've been fighting. I've been going tooth and nail, going against the likes of Trey Dizzle, going against the people. They've been saying Dak Prescott is overrated. Dak Prescott is this. I'm like, nah, hey, who is going to put you on a better position? Dak is your dude right now. You got it. You've got to support your quarterback. I'm sorry. I can't fight for you anymore. I can't do it. Because exactly what they've been saying about you all year long, Scottie D, Trey Dizzle, for the most part, for the whole part actually, is Dak Prescott, you are who they thought you were. But this time, you will not be let off the hook. Ain't gonna happen. But I'm gonna tell you this right here. Because it's not about the last 14 seconds of that game. It is, and I'm a pick on them because that has got to be the biggest boneheaded. I get it why it was called, but it was the biggest boneheaded play I've ever seen in my life.
That has to work if you're going to call that. It has to work.
And here's the thing. It worked almost to a fault. The 49ers were in position where they were defending the sidelines. They're expecting a sideline pass. There's nothing but green. This is from the 41-yard line. I want to emphasize the 41-yard line because that is very, very, very important. The position of where they were at. That play call, very instinctual. Hey, let's catch them off guard. They will never see a quarterback draw if nobody's thinking that because they're at the 41-yard line with 14 seconds to go with 0 timeouts. It worked. The play worked too well because guess what? I'd have been like, if I'd have been like the defensive back or something like that, 14 seconds ago, I'd have had that mental clock going on. I see this dude run. I'm like, oh, okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Eight players essentially behind me right now. That are like, we're not going to let this guy get into the end zone, but we're going to let the time tick, 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 tick. And so when the tackle was made, the defensive player did exactly what he was supposed to do. He laid on him like, hold on, Blair, where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Where you going? You can't just run off him. But he did just enough to not get a delayed game penalty because that delayed game penalty would have been an untimed first down, which would have been devastating. But it was just everything that. Why call that play, knowing that everything has to work in order for that play to be successful? The referees, umpires have to be on the same page. We can talk about all that all day and everything else. That's why I say the 14 seconds really didn't matter because it was 59 minutes and 46 seconds that Cowboys could have done a lot better than what they did, period, point blank. So I'm not putting it on the umpire and referee at all.
No, because I tell you what, let's say that they change their mind and say, we're going to give you 1 second back on the clock, long enough to throw one more play. What are the chances they're going to score on that? I'd say very, very little because at that point, Dak Prescott's thrown one pass in the whole previous 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So I'm not going to I'm not. That's why that play, it'd have been nice to have another crack at it. But what I would like to have seen even more than that would have been right before the half, getting down and kicking a field goal. That way, when Dak's sliding down there at the 40-yard line, whatever, all he needs is a field goal to tie the game and go into overtime. It'd been nice to have them 3 points at the end of the half. But
analytics will kill some of these football teams. I don't understand it. I will not understand it for the life of me. Get every point that you can. I don't understand going for fourth and inches on the 25-yard line. Just get the 3 points. It's not guaranteed. Yes, the analytics, the percentages are in your favor to go for it on fourth and short. But I'm telling you, I've seen way too many games decided by those 3 points you left on the
Well, they didn't even get an opportunity. Their offense stalled out and they punted. And
of course, but yeah,
the half ended with San Francisco taking a knee. But my point is, they had an opportunity right there at the end of both halves of this game. They had the ball in their hands with a chance to get points, and they couldn't deliver. They couldn't do it. They couldn't get points with your high power. That's another good question. Where does Jerry Jones go from here? Because this is his dream team right here.
Yep.
He had his franchise quarterback on the field paid. He had all these high-paid position players on the field, mostly healthy. You lost Michael Gallup, but not a big drop-off with Cedric Wilson on the field. You had the head coach that you wanted with the Super Bowl trophy in his closet. You had the highest paid defensive coordinator on the market, or the best on the market last year. You got him to come to Dallas. You got your golden boy offensive coordinator. You invested all these resources in a defense that vastly improved from a historically bad defense of a year ago. You had all these things going for you, and yet you cannot win a home playoff game against a quarterback who threw for less than 200 yards. Where do you go from here if you're Jerry Jones? Like, what else can you do? Because these are the things in your mind that you need to win the game. We as fans know the next step would be to fire the general manager, but we've been saying that for 20 years. So that ain't going to happen.
Nope, it's not going to happen.
Here's the thing. Jerry Jones finally got what I thought that Jerry Jones finally got it right. Out of the many years that he could not put a competitive team on the field, being the owner, general manager, president, and all the other titles that he has, he did actually do that on paper. I keep saying this when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. On paper, this was the best Dallas Cowboys team I've seen in the past quarter century.
Yeah, but we're
Yep.
going on Jerry's evaluations. Are they really that good? Because I kept telling you guys and a couple shows ago, when the Cowboys get to the playoffs, they're not facing the goofy quarterback from New Orleans and
Nope.
Heineke. I said that this defense may not be as good as advertised. Jerry Jones said this is the most special defense I've seen since the early '90s, and he doles out record money to the quarterback. And his evaluations, little loop-de-loop, if you ask me. He's doing player evaluation. Now, he's gotten a lot better drafting in recent years with the help of Will McClay, his director of player personnel, who he just signed to another contract a week ago. But he's the one that's picking the head coach, and he's the one that's saying, I'm making all the final decisions. If you got a head coach who can't discipline a team enough to go, not only just have 14 penalties in this game, but it was a problem all year. All year. You look at the talking heads on all the sports networks. Mike McCarthy's going to cost you with time management, and this team is leading the league in penalties. And what happened on Sunday? Those two things killed this team. And the man in charge is Mike McCarthy. He's the one that needs to be responsible. And what I'm already hearing is Stephen Jones is already on record saying, we don't anticipate making a change. Well, there's going to be some change because both coordinators getting job interviews from multiple teams. So at least one of them guys is going to be gone. So now you're going to be starting over with the coordinator stuff again. I mean, I would wipe the slate clean because Dan Quinn got his butt handed to him on Sunday. Kellen Moore looked lost on Sunday, and McCarthy sucks. So there you go. Clean house.
Okay. So now I was going to ask that real quick, Medical. Who do you blame more, McCarthy or Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore is your play caller, correct?
Yeah.
Kellen Moore is your play caller. He's the one that's saying, run this, run that, let's run this play. Is he the one that's not able to utilize the players that are on the field for the offense? And then the defense just couldn't stop the run at all. That's a whole nother situation within itself. But for a Dallas Cowboy offense that leads the league in offense, by the way, for them to not score 20 points, is that a product of them being in the NFC least and having mediocre competition, or is that a product of what do you say? What do you say? Give me something. I was like,
well, I think that it's not a product of playing in the NFC East. It's just sometimes you just run up against certain competition, and certain competition they really show you what it is because. You know, we saw when they played Tampa Bay, they put up some points, and we saw throughout the season they put up some points. Maybe, you know, you have to look at the wear and tear of the season, but I don't want to use that as an excuse. It's just making, I think, from an adjustment standpoint, like the necessary adjustments. Okay, this didn't work. Now we got to do this. Prime example, as we get into the we'll be talking about this game in a few minutes about the Bills and the Patriots. You remember what happened when they had the win game on Monday Night Football? Bill Belichick realized, hey, we can't put that ball in the air and beat these guys. We have to run on the ground. And the quick recognition, you got to figure out, okay, this isn't working. So what's the next thing? Because this kind of reminds me of what Kevin Stefanski did on Christmas with the Browns. We're just gonna keep on throwing the ball. Yet still, you know, we're gashing them for X amount of yards, but no, we're just going to keep on throwing the ball. We're going to keep on doing what they're doing, and that's going to be it. And so it's just, I think it's failure to adjust, if anything. It's just failure to adjust, and it's just, and this is where we at with the Cowboys.
Okay, but your head coach is an offensive-minded guy. He's a former offensive coordinator. So maybe he's not the one calling the plays, but he's the guy that's in charge. So he can say, hey, Kellen, let's get Tony Pollard a couple more touches here. Let's get him involved. Hey, let's stop running up the middle every series because we're getting a yard to a negative yard per carry. Let's get outside. You know, the drive that they scored a touchdown, the one drive they sustained was established with the run. That was their best running series of the entire game, and they were running outside the tackles. They weren't going straight up the gut.
Nope.
The head coach is ultimately one that makes all these decisions. You say to your offensive coordinator, call your game plan, but you have to at some point step in and say, hey, let's stop running Zeke up the middle between the guards and tackles because that's not working. Because if 74-year-old Jerry Donnelly sitting next to me on the couch can figure it out, surely the guys that have been studying tape all week can figure that out.
Yeah, exactly. You are so right about that. All right, before we get too deep into, well, we got too deep into that one, but
hockey season. Let's get into hockey season.
All right, so moving right along. Hey, Cincinnati, Send the text messages because your Bengals have won a playoff game for the first time in 31 years. Was this a great game or what, fellas?
Oh,
that was a fun game.
Every bit of it.
Yep.
I want to before we get into that real quick, I want to thank the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. The amount of controversy that y'all had to go through, and everything just literally all the stuff they had to go through for them to still make the playoffs and give us two of the most exciting football games this year to watch. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you were outmatched against the Bengals. At the end of the day, they're a more talented team, but you still fought them tooth and nail. It was a great game. So I just want to thank the Las Vegas Raiders for they could do some damage in a couple of years. Derek Carr is very underrated. Derek Carr is very, very underrated. But yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about where do we go from here with them Bengals?
All right. Well, so from the the Bengals beat the Raiders 26-19. Go ahead, Scottie D.
The big play that everybody's talking about, the one that's getting all the attention, much like the Cowboys game, was one play standing out, and that was the touchdown pass to, I think it was Tyler Boyd, when Joe Burrow rolled out to the right and he threw the ball just on the sideline.
Inadvertent whistle.
And the inadvertent whistle hit. But by rule, man, that play shouldn't that shouldn't have stood. That play should have been ruled, whistled dead. That play is over. Move on to the next play. Didn't go that way. The Bengals got the touchdown, and everyone's yelling, "Oh, the Raiders got screwed on that one." Yeah, they did, because that shouldn't have counted. But let's say that they ruled that it didn't count. Then wouldn't we be yelling that the Bengals got screwed?
Yeah.
Because if you watch that play, the ball was in the air, and this is what I'm not hearing anybody else say, because everyone's concentrated on the whistle, which is legitimately a legitimate gripe. But when the ball was in the air and it was coming down, that's when the whistle was blown. And then the receiver catches the ball. He didn't have to go anywhere else to score a touchdown. He didn't catch it on the 5-yard line, and everybody quit playing, and then he ran it into the end zone. He was open enough. He was catching that ball anyway. So ultimately, I'm not bothered by that play as much as other people are, because I think that is how the outcome was going to happen regardless. If he never blew the whistle, that they had, was it number 25 mooring of the Raiders was about 3 feet behind the receiver. He wasn't going to make a play on that. He didn't actually really give. He was beat. He was beat because the receiver broke his route back the opposite direction, and Burrow found him in the back of the end zone. So, yeah, the Raiders did get screwed on that technically, but had they called it the other way, I think the Bengals would have gotten screwed, because Burrow was in bounds when he threw. There was no way that whistle should have happened. It should have been no whistle. Bengal player catches it, touchdown, and that's what the end result ended up being. So I didn't have nearly the problem with it that the rest of the football universe is griping about today.
And Jamar Chase, only thing he did was catch 9 balls for 116 yards. That's all he did. That's what that damn Jamar Chase.
Joe Burrow looked like a playoff veteran, though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he didn't look like a guy out there in his first playoff appearance.
Cincinnati, go ahead and look. Cincinnati, look at me. Go ahead and build your offensive line, because you're good now. You can be great if you get that missing piece via the draft or via free agency. And that's all I got to say about that.
Let me chime in with this real quick. Yes, Scottie D, perfect analysis of that play. That was going to be a touchdown. That was a great pass. They adjusted on the fly. There was no stopping that. That whistle was inadvertent. And the only thing people are trying to argue is the letter of the law. But really, I'm glad that they interpreted it correctly. The Raiders didn't get screwed. They were not stopping that play. Mm-hmm. If there was no whistle, it would have been a touchdown. The whistle didn't stop anybody, really. Like the ball was already in the air. That's the whole ball was well into the air. The defensive player did not stop at the time, or would have stopped to be able to catch the guy anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I need to get this out of the way. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm just, oh boy.
Oh
boy. Let me get this out. Just give me a moment. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Oh God. Your chemistry comes from God bless America. I can't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. All roads lead to Dabo. Clemson Tigers all day. God almighty. This is in the making. And this could be one of the most dynamic quarterback wide receiving duos ever in the NFL. Barring anything like injuries or anything like that. These two need to be stuck together like glue until the end of time. This could be record breaking. This could be. I see the ceiling is very high for these two guys. And again, that also includes the likes of T. Higgins, yes sir, all roads lead to Dabo. Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon Dixon, all under the age of 25. So, but now let's find out what they're really made of in this week's time when they go against Derrick Henry coming back.
Ooh, they paying Tennessee.
For the Tennessee Titans. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. So we're not. I'm sorry. So we're going to move right along. Let's see. The Bills, the Patriots. I thought there was going to be more of a game than what we saw. The Bills, they just bust that ass.
Yeah, you hear the phrase statement game all the time. And I believe the statement game came a few weeks ago when Buffalo went up there and just took them out on their own, after the wind game at home on Monday Night Football last month. And you're like, oh, here we go again. The Patriots back in the Bills' head. McDermott said, we ain't playing with you guys anymore. Nope. They went up to New England and beat them good on their place. And then I think that game really established the mindset going into this game where Buffalo's like, you're not coming in here and beating us again. And Josh Allen looked like a monster. They do score a touchdown every time they got the ball.
Yeah.
It's not, yep. I think they called it the perfect game.
Yeah, it was a perfect game.
No punts.
Yeah.
No points. No turnovers.
Yeah. The punter had an impromptu night off. That's what happened. He had a night off.
And only one dildo on the field. I mean, remarkable.
I was like, is that
Bills Mafia at its finest? Good God Almighty, boy.
This savage. And shout out to our replay department, Scottie D, for capturing that image, because I didn't know what was going on. Was that a banana or that's one of them things. That is one of them things. All right. So
how did it get past security?
They don't check everything at the stadium. They don't check everying. This is in your pockets.
Who knows where it was before it came out?
Moving right along. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the state of Pennsylvania, we apologize because we're not going to talk about.
We don't. We ain't apologizing for nothing. This is Scottie D wanting to expand the playoff. Yeah. And there you go. Ta-da. The state of Pennsylvania gets in at the back end of it and shows us who they really are. Ben Roethlisberger, sunset, congratulations. But yeah,
I didn't want expansion in the NFL. There's plenty. You don't need 7 teams on each side, and the NFL did, and they proved this past week that they don't need 7 on each side because both of the 7s got annihilated. It wasn't even close.
They got
both Pennsylvania teams.
I'm sorry.
B.I., didn't you have something to say about the Philadelphia Eagles real quick? Because I want you to put some respect on their name.
Yeah, I had something to say. JR, smoke. How dare you? How dare you beg and plead off the air for us to give your Eagles respect? They are who we thought they were. And sir, you as well are not going to be let off the hook. Bro, come on now. You've been watching the Eagles all year long. You thought they were good because they were beating up on the Giants and the football team?
And the Lions.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I think they had one win against a winning record team. One.
They gave up 100 in their last 2 games.
That was the second, third string. But Here's my situation. This is the detriment of that whole expanded playoffs. Eagles did not deserve to be there, not even close. The Steelers, this was nostalgia for them, but neither team deserved to be there. And Eddy Cool, you were right. Let's apologize as the Sports Bros network family podcast, however you want to put it, to the state of Pennsylvania, because Scott has to live there. And whew, all right. Anyway,
the two Pennsylvania teams, the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers, all won the same amount of playoff games this year.
0.
See, that's not necessary.
I'm just saying my team made it and still won the same amount as the Panthers. So all it did for me was delay me getting to see my next draft pick by an hour in the next draft in April. That's all it did.
I would say you didn't have to put my team out there. That's because I know we didn't make it, and we're terrible, and
we suck. We stank. We stank. Hot garbage. Hot doo.
So does my team.
No, y'all got talent and stinking. That's different. But anyways,
that's worse.
Yeah, real quick, fellas, before we move on to our guest Hunter Simboli, who's standing by. Bengals Titans, real quick. Who you got?
I'm taking the Bengals, baby. I think they're rolling.
Okay. All right.
I'm sticking with the Titans because that's who I pick. I just think Derrick Henry, they're going to slow this game down. The less the Bengals have the ball, it's going to be the Titans' way of playing the game. They're going to slow the game down.
All right. Packers, 49ers.
Packers.
All right. Let's see. Chiefs and Bills.
But I like Buffalo with the upset.
I'm gonna go Kansas City. I think they reestablished themselves as who they are. It's gonna be high scoring. I think. Okay. I think yeah. I'm going Kansas City. Gotta do it.
And the Buccaneers versus the winner of the Cardinals and Rams. Who you got?
I like the Bucs at home. I think they'll be playing the Rams. As of right now, we don't know as we're recording because it's Monday afternoon. But I think the Rams will have won that game because the trend this weekend was the best quarterbacks won all of the games, and I think Stafford's a little bit better than Kyler Murray. So I'm gonna take Brady to beat the Rams next week.
Brady won't be able. I take the winner of the. I take either the Cardinals or the Rams. I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think that they played. The Bucs played the Eagles. We still don't know who they actually are. We'll see against a team like Arizona with J.J. Watt back, or a team like the Rams with their defense and their talent on the offensive side of the ball. I'm taking the NFC West either way.
All right, the NFC West got you. Oh, before we recorded, Mike Mayock, he not coming back as the Raiders GM, and also with that being said, keep your coach. Don't look for nobody else. They went 7-5 after you fired Gruden, so keep your doggone coach. Who you got is right there. You know they believe in him. They rally about him.
Don't be like the Texans.
Oh Lord, have mercy! Don't be like them. Please don't be like them. Coming up next, we got a fan's perspective from a national championship game. Hunter Simboli comes back right after this on the Sports Bros podcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a new national champion has been crowned. And just when you thought we were done talking about college football, wrong. Guess what? Because we have a guest, a friend to the show. Welcome back, Hunter Simboli. And Hunter Simboli, he is here. All right. So he's going to tell us about the experience of attending a national championship football game, because I ain't ever done nothing like that before. So as I was watching the game, I said, even though you didn't get the result that you wanted, it'd be nice to get your perspective of what you witnessed. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Hunter Simboli.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you all again for inviting me on the show. I enjoy being here, so I hope to be here more and more. But to start off with my experience at Lucas Oil Stadium, first off, the stadium itself is beautiful. I have no negatives to say about that whatsoever. The only thing is I wish it was a little more organized. It took me about an hour to, get even a water, for example.
Ooh.
But there was a lot of people there, a lot of Georgia fans actually. And throughout the game, you can normally tell like where momentum's going.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all Georgia. Even the fans knew it because, when Alabama was on offense, you could hear Georgia fans just nonstop. But then when Georgia fans were, or when Georgia was on offense, it was loud, but it's still Georgia was on a completely different level in terms of like loud excitement, momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And the game itself was extremely tight going into the fourth quarter, and that's when the fans really started to make a difference in gameplay.
So did you feel like there were more Georgia fans, or you think they were more exuberant, probably maybe being newer to the experience than Alabama fans?
I think there was more Georgia fans, not only from the volume of it, but in the end, they wanted it more. I mean, when you haven't won a championship in 40 years, you can say the same with NFL. When you have a team that's, winning every, 4 years, for example, the Patriots, you're always going to have more fans that are against the Patriots because, if you're a New England fan, which I don't think any of you guys are, so I don't mind saying this. If you're a New England fan, you obviously want to win, but you're so used to it that feeling is not the same when you win, but when you lose, it's a little different because in the back of your head, you're saying, oh, there's always next year. But with Georgia, like I said, they haven't won in 40 years. So them winning, I was upset. I'm going to be honest. I was very upset that Alabama lost because that was the only game that I went to this season, even though it wasn't in the first Alabama game that I've been to in a couple of years. And looking back at it, I'm not really that upset because when I see Georgia fans celebrating, they were all crying, which was very heartwarming for me. I was happy for them at the end of the day, which it kind of sounds weird coming from an Alabama fan, but I'm not going to say there's always next year, but that is that viewpoint at this point. We're always top in recruiting, not going to sweat on that whatsoever, but happy for Georgia. I mean, they wanted it more. And I could tell you that from first perspective, because again, I was there. The fans were telling you that they wanted it more. And the experience itself was unmatched to anything that I've ever been to. The atmosphere was different than a regular NFL game that I'm a Browns fan. So, going to a Browns game, the atmosphere is different, but compared to college football, Georgia, Alabama, I have never experienced anything. I don't think I will ever again, just because of how unique the experience was.
Yeah, you have to consider the fact. I'm sorry, Bilal, but you have to consider the fact that with Georgia too, it's almost a sense of relief because if they didn't win this year, like when are you going to finally get past? This was their year from the get-go, and then they found themselves in a new position of getting a second crack after blowing it in the SEC championship. So I'm sure there was a outpouring of emotion, not only from the joy sense, but probably from some relief.
Yeah, if it wasn't this year, they were going to have to wait a while because they are losing, at least in the draft this year, they're losing a lot of people on that defense, which was the best part about their game, And, but if anything, college football has proven that you don't need a great quarterback, I mean, if you look at Alabama's past quarterbacks, yeah, they've been good in college, but translating into the NFL, they are, subpar average. I mean, minus, the two that are sticking out or three that are sticking out at this very moment, with being Tua, Jalen Hurts, and Mac Jones. But yeah, I don't think you need like a great quarterback in college. But I'm drifting a little off topic. I apologize.
No. This is part of the process, the element, and everything like that. And Scottie D, I like the way you stated that relief is real. When I tell you, as a Clemson fan, I'll roll lead a Dabo. 2016. When we finally did it, I haven't seen one in my lifetime. We won in 1980. That, like, I wasn't alive in 1980, so I wasn't part of that. But 2015 when we lost the first one to Alabama, then 2016 when we finally put it all together. When I tell you, but man, I have to ask this because the first thing I noticed, and you mentioned the crowd noise. Because when Alabama went on the field, I thought I heard a lot of boos. You were there. Was that the sense of it when Alabama came onto the field? Was there a lot of boos in the crowd when Alabama came on?
Yeah, it's sort of to kind of put it in perspective just a little bit so you understand exactly how it was, because it was pretty bad. So, obviously if you divide the stadium in half, there's an Alabama side, Georgia side, right?
Mm-hmm.
I heard more boos in the Alabama side and where I was sitting than cheers, if that relates to anything. That tells you how many Georgia. There may have been more Alabama fans, probably not, but what I was hearing, I was sitting around Alabama fans, but there were a lot of Georgia fans in that section. They were not afraid to, get booed at, throwing beer all over the place, perfectly fine. But they weren't afraid. They weren't afraid to sit in the section directly opposite because, quite frankly, the Georgia section was filled with Georgia fans.
Yeah, they've been waiting for that moment. I got a quick question, Hunter. Were you able to see Kirby Smart's unbelievable vertical leap?
The unbelievable what?
His vertical leap. The way he was like 9 feet in the air. Kirby Smart was the coach from Georgia.
Oh, the last interception.
Yeah, when they got the interception.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, okay, yeah. I thought for a second, I thought you were talking about Jameson Williams, that leap in the first quarter. But no, I remember seeing it on their big screen that they have in Lucas Oil. They got a couple of them, but the one furthest corner, that would be the north part. It would have been Georgia stands. Right. I saw it on there, and it kind of escaped my memory just because I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, that was pretty interesting to say the least.
Where were you sitting in respect to the field? Where were you sitting?
So it was in Alabama's section. So it was actually so by telecast, I would have been slightly to the right of the field goal post, right in the middle of that section. So if you probably might have seen me in a extra point or field goal.
Oh, down like a corner side of that.
It was like right. It was like right in the middle, like the field goal post is slightly to the right of it. Like my body was just slightly over to it.
So you're between the posts. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got you.
So, one question: would you think it was pro Georgia or anti Alabama when it came to the fan base there? Being that it's in Indianapolis, in Big Ten country, Alabama's beaten everybody, especially the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think it's pro Georgia or anti Alabama when you say that there was a lot of Georgia fans?
If I really had to pick a side for that, to be honest, I think it was a mixture of both. But if I had to pick which one it leaned to, I would have to say pro Georgia. Just because I even had this is the funniest thing about it. I even had two people walk up to me that were Georgia fans before the game even started. They weren't walking up to me. I'm sorry. We were in line waiting to get in. And they're like, "Hey, can you just please let us win just this one time?" I was like, "Look, I can't control that, but I'm very humble in terms of my teams. If you guys win, you guys win. But if you guys lose, I'm going to be sore about it for a minute." But that was really, really funny to see, because we were actually sitting relatively close to them because they couldn't get in the Georgia section.
You should have seen B Live when he was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that was funny. That was a great experience. It was a good experience.
I got the opposite of that treat, by the way. They were asking, like, please have mercy on us. Can you give us one? No. When I was in Pitt, in my all orange, and of course, me being me, I have my nickname on the back of my jersey. So there was quite a few expletives thrown my way in the tunes of FU Be Live, like a lot of people screaming that, and I'm like, you know what? Bring it on! Bring all the hate. But yeah, how you felt about going to a national championship game, Alabama game, and they lost, which is very rare. That's how I feel about Pitt, because I am now successfully 0-2 for games against Pitt that I have gone to. The only game they lost in 2016 was at Pitt at home in Death Valley. Guess who was there? This guy. The game, I was in Pittsburgh this year. Lost. I'm not going to go to any more pit games when Clemson's involved. I'm not going to do it. Scottie D, you my boy. I know it's close to where you at. Not going to do it. I'm not going to go through that heartache.
We'll go see the Pirates next time.
You know what?
That's much better, if I'm being honest with you.
This is hurtful. Is there going to be anybody in the stands?
Well, if you're a Braves fan, that's a good place to go visit. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good trip. I mean, we can go there and eat hot dogs and eat pretzels. And what's that place we went to? Beeline, was it Burger Bypass, Burger Gastro?
Burgatory.
Yeah, Burgatory. Yeah, I was over.
What else good eat?
Absolutely.
We had some good drinks. It was a good time.
Yeah. So shout out to Pittsburgh.
What was the atmosphere like in the city down there? Did you get out in the city in Indianapolis at all?
It's really congested. I really didn't have
Super
an opportunity.
spreader.
I didn't have an opportunity to go to a lot of points of the city because a lot of the roads were closed off. So no matter where you went, if it was near that stadium, it was crowded. It was the city itself was probably awake until like 4 a.m. It reminded me of a New York vibe.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They were that amped, which I understand. I'm not going to fault you for celebrating,
Yeah. Yeah.
I always felt weird about the national championship game being on a Monday. Like why
not do that on Sunday too?
I'd actually rather it be on Saturday. You have 2 NFL games. You have one at 1, you have one at 4:30, and then you have the national championship on Saturday, and you would literally, like, the ratings would double.
Money.
I would think. That's just me, but I don't know anything. I'm just a podcaster in my little 1 bedroom apartment here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I don't know. Not Nathaniel. But man, Hunter, I want to say that again, that what an amazing, like literally, like, none of us have done anything of that nature. NFC Championship's the closest I've been to, like, of any nature like that. To be at the national championship game, and trust me, Alabama will be back. They're gonna be high.
Yeah.
They're gonna be high.
Alabama will be back. Go ahead, Hunter.
If you guys have an opportunity ever to do that, I highly take advantage of it because, like I said, the NFL, like, there's always great games. The atmosphere is always different, but for whatever reason, the college playoffs is a different animal. I've even been to, baseball games, a couple Browns games, and it is, I wouldn't even say it blows it out of the water in terms of like fan excitement. It's just, even when you step foot in that stadium, the air is different. So I would highly recommend it.
Thank you, Hunter, for that. Scottie D, you lose right there. College football is better than pro football. It was said by the man himself. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Mic drop. Boom.
All right. So here we go, Hunter. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. We're going to ask you a question, but we already know the answer. Are you going to stick around for the choices of the voices?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, with that being said, guess what time it is?
Time is it? What time? What's happening?
I'm glad you asked this time once again for our favorite portion of the show and Hunter's favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. With that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it. We got company this week, so hit it. Choices of the voices coming right up.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Ms. Button for introducing our portion of the show and Hunter's favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. We ask you a question, you give us the answer, we talk about your answers, and if you don't listen, we're going to let you know that you is hard-headed and you don't listen. But nevertheless, it's the choices of the voices. Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
I say this was a either or question of the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, Buccaneers, Chiefs. Which of the 2 is most likely to get back there again this year? Again, this wasn't a question of who do you think is going to the Super Bowl of all the teams. Is of those 2, which is most likely to get back? And I think they mostly followed the directions, Eddie. I think they stuck to it this week.
Just about all but one. We'll get to that one later because I know Scottie D used a picture of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes just to make it real plain, like plain burger. All right, so Here we go. We got the Hall of Famer himself, and Alabama fan, Uncle Max, and he would say I would have to go with the Chiefs, just from a team health perspective, and not to mention they are loaded with playmakers and are 3 deep at running back position, where all 3 running backs can tote the rock. So Uncle Max, the Hall of Famer, he goes with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. Friend to the show, JR, Big Smooth, D Star Walker. He says, I would also have to say the Kansas City Chiefs because, the Kansas City Chiefs have a better chance, because Tampa Bay is limping into the playoffs and the defense is still banged up. Ask your Eagles, JR. Ask your Eagles.
I say, JR, every now and again, something smart actually comes out of his mouth. And so, if you keep him away from the dumbness that is his Eagles fanaticism, and then we're about to get into college basketball, so he's about to start talking some Duke mess, and nothing about JR makes any sense. But this one, good answer. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that much. All right. So I told you I was coming with the smoke. Talk about the Eagles and give them respect. Boy, shut up.
Jug, jab. All right, move right along. We got Matty Ice. Martin Tracy says Tampa Bay beats the Patriot badly. I thought you knew. Well, that didn't age well.
So here's the thing. That's what I'm about to say. Yeah, Tampa Bay would beat the Patriots easily. And guess who also beat the Patriots easily? Oh boy. Matty Ice. I this heartfelt, because I know you're feeling some type of way. But yeah. 47-17. Oh boy, you might need to pass the ball more than 3 times to be successful, but that formula only worked one time.
To note, didn't Josh Allen have more touchdowns and incompletions that game as well?
He did. At one point, it was 4. I think 4-3 or 5-4, something. But yeah, I believe that stat held up.
Josh, yeah. What again? We were talking about it earlier. They every drive they had, they scored a touchdown.
Yeah,
the perfect game. That's just against the number 2 defense in the country. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. They couldn't stop the snow from falling down. They couldn't. Man, they couldn't stop dildos from being thrown on the field.
One of them nights.
Man.
If I would have saw that in the end zone, hey, you know what? I'm done. Third string, come get smacked. I ain't got no time for this. Getting slapped in the head with one of them things. But anyways, all right. We got Kurt Malloy. What's up, Kurt Malloy? He says the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course. All right, so
okay. He said the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh,
I'm sorry. I might need to borrow somebody's glasses. I can't read all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All right.
That's 2 apiece. That's 2 apiece right now. It's 2-2.
All right. We got Reese Jenkins. What's up, brother? Reese Jenkins. You see that logo? He did that. Reese Jenkins. He said Tampa Bay all the way. Period. All right. And then Ryan Bitts. Huh?
Before we continue with Reese, I don't think I gave him enough smoke for him coming out the woodwork for being a South Carolina Gamecock fan for a couple months back. I just want to bring that up. Yeah, he was talking a lot of trash this year about my Clemson Tigers, and to get a goose egg. I'm sorry, my bad. I went way
You did.
off.
You spent like 30 minutes in one show.
I just saw his name again, and it reignited it because
he had a flashback. I gotta get him.
Yeah, you did like 30 minutes on that.
Okay, I digress. I apologize.
All right. All right, so here we go. We got Ryan Bitts. Ryan Bitts says the Chiefs, the NFC is too tough for Tampa. And then he turns right around and says, or the Tennessee Titans.
All right, so another one for Tampa.
Right now it's 3-3.
Yeah,
he says he's going. Ryan went with the Chiefs, and then he threw in the Tennessee. Like, what context was that? Is the NFC is too tough for Tampa? Or the Tennessee Titans? Who's the Tennessee Titans too tough for? I'm confused. Head scratcher, head and shoulders.
Yep.
What happened?
No, actually, that was Kurt Malloy's the one that said the.
Oh, I'm
Titans.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah,
But he also said Tampa Bay. He said Tampa
Yeah.
Bay over the Tennessee Titans. That was his Super Bowl pick. So
Oh,
that leaves us to the best name in the game.
Yep, Joe Comfort. I think I missed some Scottie D because when I was putting together, what did JoJo Comfort say?
He says, "I'll give the nod to the Chiefs. They're getting healthier. Aside from maybe Buffalo, not an opponent who matches up, and call it a hunch, but I think this is your Green Bay goes. So he's one of the Chiefs as well. So that's 4 for the Chiefs, 3 for the Bucks.
Okay, 4 for the Chiefs, 3 for the Bucks. And with that being said, Hunter, who you got?
I was thinking about this for a minute. It's a little different. I don't think there is necessarily a wrong answer. I think both teams are very good in terms of composition if you look up and down at the roster. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Chiefs. I think they're a hotter team right now, and I think that they are indeed more healthy than the Buccaneers. And I think their defense is also improving with each week after a horrible start with their defense the first, I want to say, 6 games.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is amazing. I think he is a specimen on the field. No shame to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is, of course, greatest of all time. But Patrick Mahomes, he's feeling it after completely murking the Steelers. I would have to go with the Chiefs.
Destroyed them.
But even the score 42-21, it wasn't that close either. It made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not close as you look at the score, but it wasn't a 42-21 score, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't feel like that was that competitive, really.
Yep. Scottie D, who you got?
I told you I think that the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs this week, but I'm not super convicted of it. I do think that this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' year, so I have to pick the Chiefs just because I don't think Tampa Bay goes up there with their banged up offensive line, down a couple receivers, and they're able to get a rested Green Bay team on their turf. I don't think they'll get past that game. So of the two, I'm more convicted on Green Bay going to the Super Bowl than I am of anybody in the AFC. I could see the Chiefs. I think this is the Chiefs championship this week. I think if they get by Buffalo, they will beat either Tennessee or Cincinnati, whoever comes out of that game. I think Kansas City needs to beat Buffalo, and then they'll get back there. But if I'm not, this is the most exciting game of the week is Buffalo and Kansas City, because I think the winner of that game is going to the Super Bowl. How about you, B Live?
This is very simple, but I want to preface this with a couple things. We didn't get to see what these two teams really are, because they both face the state of Pennsylvania. So it's like we really, honest to God, we just didn't get to see against premier talent, and the Steelers and the Eagles were just not premier talent. So we really didn't get to see who was actually going to be the better team. So I'm going to break it down just as simple as this. It's this week's game that lays it out on the line. Tampa Bay, a tropical team, is right now probably 60, 70 degrees in Tampa Bay right now. They got to go to the frozen tundra to play. And maybe only 2 players out of their entire roster may be okay with it. That's Tom Brady and Gronk, because they played New England all those years. It's going to be cold. I give Green Bay the advantage. Buffalo, on the other hand, in regards to Kansas City has a home game against Buffalo coming in. Arrowhead Stadium, the loudest stadium in the NFL. Guinness Book World Records breaking. That's how loud it gets. Arrowhead Stadium is one of a kind. Bucket list, by the way. I want to go see a game there. Maybe the Panthers play Kansas City at some point in time in the future. I think Buffalo could win that game, but just because of the situation, Kansas City game at home, Tampa Bay on the road, my vote is for Kansas City. They just have a better chance to win this week, which means, but moving forward, they would have the better season. So, Eddy, cool. What you got? What you think?
Woo! All right. Y'all know how I do. You know how I find it real hard to bet against Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Carmichael, Fitzgerald, Brady, the third. It's real tough.
Esquire.
Yeah, Esquire.
Attorney at law.
Attorney at law. He got the Order of Canada award. He's not even a damn Canadian citizen. But I kind of find it real hard to bet against Tampa Bay. But the thing about it is Tampa Bay got to go to Green Bay. And the road to the NFC Championship goes through Green Bay. With that being said, I think Kansas City is going to get it. Kansas City is firing on all cylinders. And throughout the season, Scottie D was like, they're going to turn it up. They're going to turn it up. They're going to turn it up. And we waited. And, they had a real, a sluggish start to the season. And then, those last 5 or 6 weeks of the season, they really started to turn it up. Except when they went to Cincinnati and, they, kind of fell flat. But by that time, they already had everything locked up. So they really didn't have much to play for. So I believe that Kansas City has the least amount of pressure because they're not the number 1 seed. Even though they had to play in the wild card, it's a little. I don't want to say they could. I don't want to say they have a chance to RELAX, but the pressure for them to get there is not as ginormous as it was if they were the Tennessee Titans. Now they got the pressure on them, so it'll be interesting to see what Tennessee does. So I'm going to have to say Kansas City. Kansas City has the best chance to get back to the Super Bowl and give Green Bay a run for their money. With that being said, shout out to Uncle Max, JR, Smooth, D-Star Walker, Matty Ice Martin Tracy, Kurt Malloy, Ryan Bitts, Reese Jenkins, and JoJo Comfort, the best name of the game for their week's participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. And Hunter Simboli for coming out and hanging with us too. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right. If you were a prospective NFL head coach, great coach beyond your wildest dreams in fantasy land, which of the open jobs would you most like to take? I think there's 5 open right now, if I'm not mistaken. And by this time next week, there might be more, there might be less. I would hope there's one in Dallas, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if of any of the coaching vacancies right now, which one, if you were going to be a head coach in the NFL, which of these open jobs do you find most appealing? Where would you like to go? Tell us, and we'll talk about next week. Eddy, that'll give us something to talk about.
All right. Hunter, you got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
I do not currently, but thank you all for having me. I appreciate it. I hope to talk to you guys sooner or later. It was great time. Yeah, Roll Tide. Absolutely. We'll be there next year.
Not saying any of that. No, no, that's you already know where my heart's at.
We'll see y'all in 2028, maybe,
Just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Tide got rolled.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sports Bros podcast, and this was the Choices of the Voices. Hunter, thanks once again.
Thanks, Hunter.
Thanks, Hunter.
Absolutely.
And see you guys next week for the Choices of the Voices.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here so we can go watch some of this football game. Might watch Monday Night Raw, but then again, it's football. So, in the words of Be Live in traditional What Happened Wednesday fashion, what time it is. All right, with that being said, we're going to do another round of pepper. That's right. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, here to engage, enlighten, and entertain, and educate. All right. And with that being said, I'll go first. All right. Speaking of pro wrestling, WWE has given color commentator Corey Graves the green light, the medical clearance to return to the ring after a 7-year absence due to concussions. This seems to be a trend going on with professional wrestlers as of late because, they put their bodies on the line. You can call it fake, phony, whatever, but they actually get hurt because they really get hurt, all right? Just be glad they're not taking unprotected chair shots in the head. If you notice, this is a trend because if you look at Daniel Bryan, he had a history of concussion issues. He took some time off. He got healthy. He got cleared. He came back. Edge retired back in 2011. He took some time off. He took care of himself. He got cleared. Now he's back in the ring. And the latest story, Corey Graves, who started off in NXT and had to take a color commentary role. Well, the doctor said, go ahead back in there, Graves. And now Corey Graves back in the ring after a 7-year hiatus. So that goes to show, if you take care of yourself, give yourself some time, you too can come back. Over to you, Scottie D.
He had the best seat in the house. Giving it up, he'll have ice on his knees inside a month. All right, Kevin Durant is out 4 to 6 weeks. That's his NBA news. Kevin Durant out 4 to 6 weeks, and the Lakers suck. Be live.
Pepper, bow.
It's hockey season.
Well, I'm actually glad that this was a nice little segue, because my pepper was also about the injury bug, because this also hit Golden State. Golden State has actually lost 5 of their last 7, because they're glad to have Klay Thompson back, but now they're missing Draymond Green and Steph Curry.
Oh,
It's like you can't get them 3 together, because Steph Curry hurt his hand, but they said it's not a serious injury, but it's going to miss a little bit of time. And Draymond Green, he'll be sidelined for at least 2 more weeks with tightness in his left calf. And also they were missing their backup point guard of Gary Payton II, and he had lower back spasms. So the Warriors are going through it, but they're only 1 game back of the Phoenix Suns for the best record in all of basketball. So they put themselves in a good position to let's get players healthy. Let's get them healthy for the postseason. So we shall see. Hope players do get back healthy. NBA, it is a grueling, long season, but yeah, with a lot of injuries this year. And yes, the Lakers do suck. Eddy, cool the ball.
wow. So we all in the corners. The Lakers kind of stink. They're the drizzling poops this year. Okay.
Yes.
I think we can all agree on that. All right. Happy birthday. We have a birthday, fellas. Happy birthday to Mark Messier. That's right. The NHL great himself.
The Moose.
Yes, the Moose. Mark Messier, he turns 61 years old today. All right. As you know, Mark Messier had a 25-year career with the Oilers, where he won a bunch of Stanley Cups, along with the likes of Grant Fuhr, Jari Kurri, Esa Tikkanen, forgetting somebody, Kevin Lowe, and that whole crew, all right, back in the 80s, and Wayne Gretzky. How could I forget about Wayne Gretzky? Something wrong with me? Anyways, so yeah, they won a bunch of cups during that Oilers run back in the 80s, and then he won 1 more in the 90s with the New York Rangers, and he finally closed his career with a season or 2 with the Vancouver Canucks. He has 1,887 points in the regular season, and that's 3rd all-time to Jaromir Jagr, who's somewhere playing probably still, and Wayne Gretzky, who has 2,857 points. And he also played 1,756 games, and he's also one of the greatest 100 players in the history of the National Hockey League. Mark Messier was a joy to watch play. Enjoy your retirement, and happy birthday to you, Mark Messier. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, I like Messier, but speaking of people I don't like, in the vein of Aaron Rodgers, Novak Djokovic tested positive for COVID on December 17th, and rather than isolate, he went out and did a photo shoot and an interview. He's been against the vaccination masking deal from the very beginning, even having a party back in 2020 whenever the pandemic was just getting underway. On January 5th, he not only he didn't meet entry requirements for the unvaccinated to get into Australia. He was going there for the Australian Open. He's a Grand Slam away from breaking the Grand Slam record. He's tied with Federer and Nadal, both, I believe. And I guess his point was because he had COVID, then he was good. That should be his exemption. But he didn't get that exemption. He had all kinds of trouble over there. He also supplied wrong information on his visa. Somehow that wasn't his fault. It was just a little accident. But he is out. He is out. They kicked him out of the country. You got to go, Joker. You're not playing in the Australian Open this year. Go home, Joker. He lost his last appeal to play. So Joker, go home. He actually got a 3-year ban from Australia. He can appeal that. There's a possibility in the future he can get that revoked and get back in there. But as for now, Joker, go home. And in more good news on Monday, the French Open has now announced that they are going to require players to be vaccinated before showing up in May at Roland Garros. So it's going to make it a little tough on the Joker to break that Grand Slam record if he can't play in any Grand Slams. Interesting story to follow. Be Live, over to you.
Man, to be deported, visa canceled. What is
Go
going
home, Joker.
On? Well, the thing about it is you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. So
8-6 the Joker.
We're playing spades, no jokers.
Nope.
Check it out. All right. So, and I want to apologize to Hunter, because I wanted to discuss this while he was on the show, but I feel like it's better with Pepper. We did have a college football national championship game, but one thing that happened at the game that a lot of people didn't notice, there was actually a wardrobe malfunction during the national championship game. It's not what you think. It's not Janet Jackson. It's not 2003 Patriots Panthers.
Oh.
God,
Not Miley? No, Miley? Was it Miley?
But see what had happened was,
I like Miley.
Everybody knows that for these championship games and everything, that there's going to be some starving kids in a foreign country that gets gear that was made for the losing team, because they have to prepare themselves. Like, hey, they have championship shirts and hats for both teams. Whoever wins, boom, we got it ready for you. Boom, put it on, celebrate right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
But see what happened is that one of the national championship hats was distributed out incorrectly. And so one of the Georgia players actually received an Alabama national championship hat and was caught on the camera, and all the jokes ensued and everything like that, because he's got his Georgia jersey on, just won the national championship, got a big old A on the hat. But yeah, N'Kobe Dean was spotted with an Alabama national championship hat after the game was concluded. But it was quickly rectified. But so when he had the post game press conference, he did have the correct hat on, and he's like, "I have the right hat on now." He laughed about it. But man, oh man, who was in charge of this? Who was distributing this?
Yeah, one job, do better.
One damn job.
That is going to be a meme from years to come. At any point in time, just let you know, Georgia, this goes out to you. At any point in time, a Georgia fan starts screaming out, SEC, SEC, pulling this up for you, because that's how I feel. Eddy, cool, the ball.
Tell us how you really feel. You know what, man? That's like breaking kayfabe almost. Like, hey, we know what's going on, but we don't need to know what's going on. If I was him, I would have been like, hey, man, I would have represented I'm representing for Atlanta, for the A shawty. That would have been a perfect way to save face. All right. So this past weekend up here in Northeast Ohio and certain parts of the country, we've been getting hit with a bunch of damn snow. We've been teased, but oh boy, here come the whole shebang, right? So what I'm going to do right now is put this on gallery view. And I'm going to tell you a little story about my drive home from work last night. As most of you know, I'm a restaurant.
Sure.
Yeah. As you know, most of you know, I'm a restaurant server. I'm not going to tell you restaurant because I don't want you to come mess with me at work, man. I'll be working. I'll be working, you know. If you're going to come spend some money, come. If you're going to be cheap, keep your ass home. So I took a back road. I avoided my normal, I didn't take my normal route because I'm like, I'm going to try something different. I'm from the South. And I really, I've never really driven in snow like that. But what I do, I try to be as cautious as possible, right? You got a back road. It's pretty good. All right, okay, driving pretty good. Then boom, I get on the main highway, the main interstate, I-90. I think everybody has a 90, Highway 90, South Carolina. And I went on I-90, and I was driving pretty good. As I'm getting ready to get off my ramp to go home, my exit to go home, I kind of speed up a little bit, kind of slow it down, slow it down, because I want cars like 16 football fields behind me. I don't want nobody around me. You kind of just, Scottie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
So as I'm driving, I blink, and probably about 300 yards in front of me, I see a van driving straight and goes into the embankment and gets stuck. So I said, "Ooh, I'm glad I slowed down in the nick of time," and I kept going. So I told somebody about what happened. They said, "Did you call the police?" I said, "Hell no, I ain't call no police." They said, why did you didn't call the police? I said, "Look, I'm all for doing good deeds, but in inclement weather and not knowing what's barreling down the highway, hey, I'm gonna say a prayer for you. It's about 13 cars behind me. You look alive. You blew the horn. The car's running. I'm gonna say a prayer for you. And if I had a truck, I probably would have helped you. And even then, I probably wouldn't have." See, ladies and gentlemen, you got to know when to do good deeds, and you got to know when to watch out for yourself as well too. Like I'm saying, any other time I would have helped them out, but it's the snow, and people that live up here in Ohio, they still act like they don't know how to drive in the damn snow. So guess what Eddy Cool did? Eddy Cool took the high road, went home, and I said a prayer for that driver, and I'm praying that driver is safe. Did it weigh on my conscience? Hell no, it weighed on my conscience. You got to put number one first. All right. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right. Hey, last year I was in a snowstorm, stuck on a ramp, spinning tires, and no one would stop to help me. It might have been you flying on down a highway right past.
I said a prayer for you. I said a prayer for you. I did do that.
Much appreciated.
Exactly.
All right, so it feels like forever since I've got to see a UFC pay-per-view, and that streak ends this Saturday night. We have a heavyweight fight, the heavyweight championship of the world, as Cyril Gahn, who won a title fight against Derek Lewis a few months ago to become the interim champion, will take on Francis Ngannou, who actually won the heavyweight championship outright by knocking out Stipe Miocic back in the spring. They're finally going to get it on. Much to my surprise, Cyril Gahn is actually favored in this fight, and as far as the Vegas line goes. But I mean, I'm not personally surprised. I think he actually has a really good chance to win this fight. I'm just surprised that Ngannou, being the monster he is an underdog. But that takes place this Saturday night. UFC 270 pay-per-view. Can be interesting to see if whoever wins this will get John Jones next, because he's talking about wanting to fight in the spring at heavyweight. We've been waiting for like 3 years to see if that's going to materialize. So we'll see if that finally, that's one of those I'll believe when I see it kind of deal. And this could be it for Ngannou. He's having like contract bickering going on with Dana White in the UFC. So this could be the end of Ngannou either way in the UFC. And also, we're going from heavyweight to flyweight, trilogy fight, Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. They are they tied in their first fight, and Moreno won. Mexican kid won the flyweight title in their next fight. So you have the best of both worlds. You have the lumbering heavyweights and the flyweights buzzing around the cage. Looking forward to UFC 270, the first pay-per-view of the year, this Saturday night. Be live. I'm done. Go ahead.
All right. And I was actually going to say something when you mentioned that about Cyril Gahn being the favorite. I was wondering if that had something to do with the contract talks between Ngannou, because I read a story, if I'm not mistaken, that if Ngannou wins the championship, he's obligated for another year. Like his contract will be extended for a year if he wins the title. So that's something maybe just to look into, because Scottie D is our resident expert when it comes to UFC. But
I'll have to read up on that and see what that is.
So like it's almost like an incentive for him not to win, so he could get either better contract or something like that, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. He did, but Ngannou said he wasn't going to be fighting for $500,000-$600,000 a year anymore. He's like, nah, play. I'm gonna need my coinage.
Yeah.
All right. And Eddie, cool, to your story. I had a very similar incident. This is way back in a while where I actually was allowed to drive by the state of North Carolina. I said what I said. But anyway, man, we had some ice on the road, and I was actually picking up one of my cooks for work. And there was a big hill like on one of the main roads, but it's a nice little incline. And I mean, there was some ice on this road. And I saw there was a red light, but I'm watching cars go the other direction sliding down this hill. You think I actually followed the rules of the light? You think I followed the traffic laws? Hell nah. I kept that thing moving. I kept them tires just spinning and moving. I said, I am not stopping. I just kept right on rolling. I'm watching cars slide down the other way down. I said, nope, I'm not stopping, because I'll be right there with him with my little 4-wheel drive Toyota Corolla. Ain't no way I'm gonna keep it moving.
Doing this right here the whole time.
There ain't no stopping us now. But now
I'm on the move.
Literally.
That mess must be crazy.
But my third and final pepper point, since college football season is over, I'm bringing it back home. I'm bringing it back the way I like to do things. When I find the most ridiculous thing that I could find that happened this week. What happened? And this one is funny. This is about the band Foreigner. And you would ask, what does that have to do with sports? If you don't know who Foreigner is, a rock band, 70s, 80s rock band. They're known for such hits as I Want to Know What Love Is.
Classic.
I just wanted you to. And then, of course, Jukebox Hero. And then I don't know all the words and everything. But Be Live, what in the world does the band Foreigner have to do with sports?
Have to do with sports.
Well, I want to say thank you to the Sacramento Kings for one of the most epic troll jobs I've ever heard in my life. The Sacramento Kings were hosting the Los Angeles Lakers for a game this past, I believe it was this past Sunday. And a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, he is a permanent resident of Shot in a Fool on TNT, and it's been known that he's had some shooting issues, and he's not been that accurate. Russell Westbrook, aka Westbrick, he's a slasher. Every time that Russell Westbrook missed a shot during this game, the Sacramento Kings DJ played "You're as Cold as Ice."
Ooh.
Every single time he missed a shot, the DJ played "You're as Cold as Ice." I cried laughing. I said, this is the most epic troll ever.
He couldn't have been too happy.
No,
I'd have been hot. I've been a little hot about that.
That is next level. Like you know that can't sit well as a competitor.
No.
The best way to put it is how Dave Chappelle when he was parodying Rick James. That was cold-blooded.
Very, very much
Man, so. Russell Westbrook, I don't know what to tell you, bro. And to all of them Russell Westbrook's fans and stands out there, let it go. Stop giving this dude credit for stats when he's not producing wins. I'm sick of it. They keep trying to find, now he only has 4 turnovers. The last 4 games, he's greatly reduced his turnover ratio. Has he won? I don't care about how many triple doubles he has. I don't care how now he's no longer turning over the ball. You're not winning.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as Scottie D just aptly said, Lakers suck. Do better.
I've told people,
Yeah.
I've told people ad nauseum time and time again. That style of play, his style of play, is fun, it's exciting, but it will not win a championship. It just won't. Like I really want to, support Russell Westbrook and be a fan. I'm a fan of his play, but it's just like something about that style is not a championship caliber kind of style. Hopefully, I don't have to eat this crow, but nevertheless, this has been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. We thank you so much week in and week out for listening to us. Once again, shout out to our guest, Hunter Simboli, for coming through and telling us about his national championship game experience, one like no other. And check us out in the description box. All the Sports Bros Podcast links. We got a link tree, y'all, which means we ain't got to be living the whole damn thing with 1,000 links. You click it and then figure out what you want to do. Come holler at us. We love you. We thank you for the support. Any closing words before we get the hell up out of here, fellas?
Let's go Pens. Hockey season, baby. Hockey season. Wear your masks.
Yeah. Watch out for this Omarion variant. Just be careful.
There's an ice box where my heart used to be. Anyway, and
how many cold jokes we're gonna got that ice box?
I'm just saying they write themselves. And then closing, do something nice for yourself, and if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another action-packed and spectacular episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Everybody left, and I'm still rambling. Be live, take us home.
Yes, sir.
See you next week.